did the Series A preferred, there's only 200 million shares of preferred authorized. So you can't change that in that designation with the state. So even if they wanted to buy shares of MMTLP for that would actually turn into NextBridge, you could only sell 35 million of them if that were ever to be the case. Secondly, it creates a taxable situation if we were to sell those shares before a merger happened. Okay, so I'm giving you guys some insight on this stuff right now. So let's say somebody came to us today and said, "Hey, I'll buy 35 million shares at $50 a share." Well, that becomes a taxable event to the spin out and basically destroys the whole spin out. It won't happen. It can't happen. So that would go out the window. And then lastly, let's just say that this thing plays out and the stock trades where it trades, and for example, it goes to $100 a share, and that's the last trade. And then all of a sudden, NextBridge gets a knock on the door from 5 brokerage houses saying, "I need to buy 50 million shares." Well, they have the ability to sell them shares at that point, but you have to remember who is involved in NextBridge and who is the largest shareholder of NextBridge.
Oh yeah.
That person being Greg McCabe. And trust me when I tell you this, Greg has a disdain for what we had to go through for the last 6-7 years that runs as deep or deeper than mine. And so, as I mentioned in my tweet today, not only would it be a hell no, but it's a hell no, and here's the lawsuit for all the fuckery you've caused us in the last 7 years. So
yeah, and I know, like, I'm not kidding. Like, Jared has told me nothing but good stuff about your team. I used to be in oil field, like the previous speaker.
mm-hmm.
I was for a decade. I worked for Halliburton, Baker, Schlumberger. I grew up in Houston, and
Mm-hmm.
I actually used to log scientific wells, and I've drilled in that area.
Okay.
So, and I from graduating with my engineering degree, I went all the way through the process through Halliburton's engineering program and ended up working globally, and then I retired. So, the efficacy of your team and stuff and what Jared said is like on par with exactly what you're saying. So, I just wanted to ask because there's so much out there that people are saying, and falsification of documents and shit like that gets really confusing to investors.
Right.
And I just want it to be said as much as possible, like what's actually going on.
Yeah, and I tweeted about that potential tonight, and I think that's what people were responding to. So.